Hello, we're live. This is over and over and over again, and it's the Aston Villa versus Arsenal pre-match warm-up show. Hello, how you doing? My name's Richard. Welcome back to my channel over and over and over again, the Positive Arsenal channel. It's another busy show lined up tonight, of course, ahead of our trip to Aston Villa tomorrow with lunchtime kickoff, isn't it? 12:30. I've got some special guests joining me as well. Before we get into that, just to make sure that you give this video a like wherever you're watching it. It's going out on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter at the moment. So please give it a like and nip over to YouTube and give the channel a subscription as well. I'm nearly up to 300 as well. So it'd be good to get there at some point this weekend. It would be nice. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. That we really appreciate it as well. And if you want to be a part of the show, please drop your comments in the box as well. We've already got Ender in there as well. How you doing, mate? Good to see you. Oh well, there you go. You see, he's even pulls the telly to come and watch us, which is great. I hope you enjoy the show. So, I mean, without further ado, now we'll get the guest introduced. First of all, he's our regular panelist these days. We wouldn't be the same without him. Welcome back to the show. It's Melvin. How you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. I'm really looking forward. Tonight is a special one for me, and I hope you'll find out why later. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it as well. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. It's always Aston Villa been a big club in sort of my supporting Arsenal history as well. So, also coming back on the channel again, he's been on. He hasn't been on for a while. He's been busy. We've all been busy. Yeah, welcome back to Paul Dorsey. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you? Thanks for having me back on.
No problem at all. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Glad that you're okay. It's good to see you again. Also, as well, we've got again. He's come back again. He was supposed to be on last week, but he missed his alarm. But he's back this week. It's Andrew.
You're very honoured, but I'm missing my sleep, my beauty sleep, and obviously I need it by the looks of me. So anyway, thanks for having me on. I do apologise for last week. Nice to see you, Melvin and Dorsey as well.
Good to see you, mate.
Nice to see you, Andrew. Nice to see you, mate.
Nice to see him awake. Exactly. Yeah.
You're lucky. You're lucky.
And finally, last but not least, of course, we've got an Aston Villa fan in as well joining us tonight. His name's Joe, and he's from the Aston Villa Together podcast. How you doing, mate? You all right? I think you're on mute again.
There we go. Very good, very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all.
Right,
just before we start, if you give your channel a plug as well, your podcast channel.
Absolutely. We can be found at Villa Together on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and I think we're on Spotify as well.
Fantastic. I'll say everyone have a look at check their guys out as well. They've got some good stuff as well. You know, I know you're not Aston Villa fans, but it's we like to support other clubs as well. So please check their stuff out as well. So that is your panel for tonight, and this is going to be the Aston Villa versus Arsenal pre-match warm-up show. So obviously, I think the best place to start is probably the midweek games that we've played. Pretty bad for both of us, unfortunately. You know, we obviously lost to Wolves, and Aston Villa lost as well, didn't they, home to West Ham. I mean, if we start with obviously our game, I just really wanted to get everybody's thoughts on the big controversy, of course, of that game, which was the red card and the penalty against David Luiz. Personally, I thought that was a terrible decision and it's cost us the game. I'd just be interested to know what all you guys think. I mean, Melvin, what about you? What did you make of the red card? I mean, we played well up to that point as well.
You know, my red glasses I wear, but I just couldn't see how that was an absolute penalty. It was just, was there contact? I don't know. Did he mean to do it? I don't think so. I was very upset giving the penalty, very upset the red card, and then the reason for giving the red card was that he didn't tackle him. So I don't just understand all that. And so I'm not really that upset about yesterday. I'm not saying I would rescind it. No one, I didn't expect them to rescind it. It means both parties rubbish and the referee's rubbish. They ain't going to do that. And it doesn't really matter if he doesn't play one game. I mean, it costs us 3 points, I reckon. Whether he plays tomorrow or not is irrelevant to the 3 points we lost. It was on the night that really upset me.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to watch along, and basically I said on the watch along, you know what, I can't be bothered to watch the second half. I've seen Arsenal get beat. I've seen some of the players not in my team not try. I'm seeing referees give bad decisions over a period of time. This game in itself was one of the worst 30 seconds I've ever seen. It really was. The whole thing was an absolute joke. And my biggest thing is, one of my biggest things is, why didn't the ref put the monitor? It's a big call to make for the penalty. It's a big call to make to send someone off. Why didn't he walk back 30, 40 yards to look at the monitor? And if he gives it again, fair enough. I don't agree with it, but why not look at it? Is it because you don't want to prove yourself wrong? Is it a little bit of that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was annoying that he didn't even look at the screen. I still think they would have come to the same decision, because Mike Dean at the Man United game did. He went to the screen and still gave the red card. But yeah, it was frustrating. I mean, I'm quite interested to get Joe's thoughts on it. Obviously, from a neutral point of view, I suppose not really neutral, being as it was Wolves, but from a sort of neutral point of view, what did you make of that decision for the penalty and the red card?
So, I mean, it's a bit of a difficult one, really, because I think by the letter of the law and the way it's been implemented at the moment, it is a matter of fact he didn't play the ball and he took the man down. And because of that, they're having to give them as red cards. And it just shouldn't be. It's not in the spirit of the game, and it was never intended to be used like that. It's exactly the same thing that we had a couple of weeks ago against Man City, where Rodri came from an offside position and tackled our man and they scored. It's the issue with VAR and forensically analysing every single moment of the game. The rules weren't designed for that. And when they're implemented in such a way, it just creates these ridiculous decisions that everyone in the ground sitting there going, I mean, technically it is, but it's just not right.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I know, I suppose with the VAR things as well, sometimes it is the laws of the game that's the problem, as opposed to the decisions that's given. They're just, like you said, maybe going along with what the laws of the game are. As Ender says in the chat as well, you know, the law says it should technically be a red card, which is ridiculous, because if he'd attempted to tackle him and mistimed it and brought him down, he would have just been a yellow card, where he's just literally running to get back into position. They happen to have an accidental collision almost, and it's a red card, and it just doesn't seem the right decision. And they've even overturned the Southampton one, which was very, very similar. And that was the other thing. I mean, Dorsey, what did you make of that? The fact that they overturned the Southampton one and didn't overturn ours, when to me they're almost exactly the same.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything that everyone said, and actually what Joe was saying there. More often than not, the issue is, for me, is not the issue with VAR, it's the issue with the rules and how they're interpreted. That seems to be the main problem, really, and in the rule. So it's ridiculous that they've overturned one and not the other. I didn't see the Southampton one at the time, but I have watched it back since, and there didn't really seem to be much of a difference at all. They were both running back. They were both trying to get back into position. They were both trying to put pressure on the attacking player. Both penalties, both red cards. One gets overturned and one doesn't. It just baffles me. There was a little bit of me that thought, because it was David Luiz, would it have been different had it been a different player? Because David Luiz he's got a reputation for doing silly things at silly times and giving away silly penalties. Had that been someone else, Rob Holding, for example, maybe, would it have been different? I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, it's a good point from Ender there. Maybe they overturned the Southampton one because it didn't affect the result. Well, I mean, I don't know if that should make any difference, really. It's either a right decision or a wrong decision. It makes no difference if the game's 0-0 or if it's as that one was 6 or 7-0, whatever it was. It shouldn't make any difference, really, should it? But anyway, I mean, we can't do anything about it now. It's been given. It hasn't been overturned, and unfortunately, that's cost us the opportunity to get what would have possibly been 3 really good points. I mean, Andrew, what did you make of our performance? Obviously, up until that point, we played really well, haven't we?
Probably the best 45 minutes we've had of the season, I think.
Yeah.
It just seems that we've said that quite a few times recently, which is positive. You know, that we've had. I think I must have heard that phrase about 3 or 4 times over, you know, since we started improving over the last few weeks. So it seems like we're getting better all the time. So it was just such a shame. I mean, what do I need to say about that? It was just a disgrace, really, absolute disgrace. I mean, if you can't use common sense, then it just, yeah, what's the point? You know, you've got to use common sense in situations like that. It's just ridiculous. Getting sent, he literally got sent off for running.
Yeah,
Just running behind the player. He got sent off for that.
Yeah. No, crazy decision. I mean, to be honest with you, I've been watching football a long time. I know you guys have, and I've never seen anything like that. To be honest, I've never ever seen a red card given for something like that at all. Just crazy. When you see, there was the one that Southampton got their first red card when that guy went up. His tackle was up, you know, on the thigh of McTominay. It's got the same punishment as what David Luiz apparently did. It just doesn't seem. It's just bonkers to me. But anyway, I mean, like I said,
think it's purely down to reputation, like people have said before, and you know, because it was David Luiz. In fact, what's that guy's name in the studio? The referee, Peter Walton, is it?
Peter Walton, yeah.
He basically said, "Well, it was David Luiz." I mean, how professional is that? How professional is that on telly? That is you should not. It should not matter who it is. That was an utter disgrace. That made me even more angry in lots of ways. The way he was.
No, I mean, he tried to justify it. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Which makes me positive. But we used to have that common sense. They say they can't use common sense. Then we might as well get robots to do the refereeing.
Can I just say, Melvin, you're really laggy. You're like a robot. I'm sorry, someone had to tell you. And because I'm your friend, I have to be honest.
I should be a referee. I put this in there just because someone said underwater.
Yeah, you do sound like you're underwater.
Drop out and come back on again, Mel. It might correct it.
Paul from the Twin Reviews in. How you doing, Paul? Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys have a good result tomorrow. And Steve Bruce is still there, isn't he? Unfortunately for you, I know you want him gone, but it's just a matter of time until he goes. And Paul agrees with us there that the Luiz decision is an absolute shocker. Yeah, it was ridiculous, and I don't think I've never seen anything like that in all my life watching football. I've got to be totally honest with you. Russ there, he's got no issue with the Luiz sending off as the rule is to be adhered to. Yeah, but you've got to try and.
I can't see it like that.
Sense, haven't you?
I just can't. I can't see it like that. Like I said, if a person can't actually use some kind of just basic common sense, then it's just a nonsense. It really is.
It is. I totally agree. I mean, Joe, I wanted to move on to you about obviously your midweek game against West Ham. Obviously, West Ham are doing pretty well at the moment. What did you make of your guys' performance on Wednesday? Wasn't it?
I mean, it was a pretty sort of disappointing display all round in every way. To be honest, we looked slow, sluggish. We looked like a team who had played 5 games in 2 weeks. That's all I can say about it, really. It's no great secret that we lack depth. And I think this game really showed it. We were naive going into it as well. The way we set up, we didn't move Grealish away when they were playing both Friedrichs on essentially just trying to mark him out of the game, and they did exactly that. To be honest, it's becoming a bit of a concern for a lot of Villa fans at the moment that our midfield is just getting absolutely overrun. It happened against Burnley, Southampton. It happened pretty badly against Man City. I mean, we kind of let that go because, you know, Man City, you expect it. But to get absolutely dominated in midfield by the likes of Southampton and West Ham, it's not really what we were expecting, particularly bringing Barkley in. And he's definitely coming under fire at the minute. He's not quite performing in the manner he did when we played against you last, that's for sure.
No, he was great in that. He was great in that game. Paul there from Newcastle fans says that you'll know all about Steve Bruce, of course.
Yes, I feel very sorry for the Newcastle fans. Is all I can say. For a period, and frankly, I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
No, exactly. Melvin's back. Let's hope he sounds a bit more as though he's not underwater anymore.
Hello, gentlemen. Is that better?
A little bit.
Slightly. Yeah, slightly better. It might settle down.
Yeah, better.
And Luke is in as well. How you doing, Luke? Thanks for tuning in, mate. Good to see you. Yeah, but I mean, I was just going to ask you, Joe. Actually, what did you make of Emi Martinez's performance? Because a couple of them goals, he maybe could have done a bit better with the Lingard goals. Do you think?
I think the first Lingard goal, it was a really well hit shot. Really, it was in that really awkward position, sort of not quite at full reach on a dive. I don't really blame him for that one. The second one was a shocker, though. It's the first one he's done all season, and I don't think anyone's going to use it as a stick to beat him with, but it was a massive error. We were getting back into the game at that moment in time. We just scored at the other end, and that completely killed us off, unfortunately. But to sing his praises a bit, he has been absolutely exceptional for us this season. He saved so many chances. In fairness, I think he's probably continued on the form he showed for you guys at the end of last season.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he's a good goalkeeper, isn't he? And I think he's obviously proven that now he's playing regularly for you guys. I mean, I think he's actually played more Premier League games for Aston Villa than he did for Arsenal in 10 years. So it just shows that obviously his form has been good for Aston Villa, this season. It's good to see. I'm pleased for him. I'm glad he's doing well, actually. I mean, we'll come on to him a little bit more a little bit later on as well when we come on to the other section of the show. Luca thinks Aston Villa might win. I don't know. We'll come on to that as well a bit later, but we'll see. I mean, Aston Villa. I mean, you guys, Joe, you aren't in the greatest of form, are you, since your COVID sort of break? Do you think that's had an effect?
I think it has. Yeah, I think the lack of time together as a team over that period hurt us. We were in really good form coming into it. There's no doubt that our dip in form has coincided with Barkley returning to the team as well. Without wanting to make anyone a scapegoat or anything like that, I do feel that his lack of performance is really hurting us at the minute. Defensively, he's leaving us very short, and going forward, and I think the whole team as a whole looks really leggy, which I guess is to be expected, having had 2 weeks off and then 5 games in 2 weeks. But to answer the question, having that break for COVID has really hurt us. And I think Pep was making a comment about it earlier today as well, with Klopp saying that they'd essentially had a 2-week vacation. From what I've seen, at least, having that time off has not done us any favours, and I don't think it would do anyone much good.
No, I agree. I mean, Newcastle have had a similar issue, actually. They had a break for COVID, and they've not really come back to anything like similar results they were getting before. And it's funny because there's been a lot of talk over the last few years about having a winter break. And it seems as though there's been a winter break for a couple of teams, and it's actually negatively affected their performances. So whether that's going to be such a good idea in the future to ever, I mean, I know there was sort of half a winter break last year when, everybody missed 1 week on the different week kind of thing, didn't they? They split it into 2, which wasn't too bad, I guess. But I don't know. Having seen what's happened with you guys and with Newcastle with the COVID break, I'm not sure that a winter break would necessarily be a benefit. Having to put 2 or 3 weeks off in winter, it doesn't seem as though it would. Well, I suppose when it's the odd team, you're playing catch up, aren't you, with the teams that's been playing regularly through it? I suppose. Whereas if everybody was off, I guess there's no advantage, perhaps. So it might maybe work that way. But anyway, Paul said their team had COVID before COVID was a thing. You've had COVID since Steve Bruce took over. I think that's what it was. I mean, I don't think it makes any difference. You can ask for a referee not to take charge of your game, but I don't think it's gonna.
I think Sir Alex did that a couple of times, didn't he?
Well, but Sir Alex ran the game.
Got his way. Yeah, exactly. Well, he got his way though. I think. I'm sure. I remember that.
I mean, he can do what he likes. Sir Alex, couldn't he? Really? So I mean, we can't really use him as the example. I think in general, most teams can't pick and choose their referees, can they?
No.
But he seems to manage to get away with it for whatever reason. Maybe brown envelopes might have played a part. Who knows? But we can't possibly say. What we'll do now, I mean, we will come back to obviously tomorrow's game in a little bit. I wanted to first of all go sort of a trip down memory lane a little bit for us. I mean, I don't suppose Joe's memories will be quite as long as some of ours, but I'm sure he'll have some anyway. So yeah, just really some sort of memories of past meetings against Aston Villa. I mean, for me, Aston Villa have always been, you know, a massive club in obviously in English football. And since I started going to football, the first year I was going, they were European champions. So they've always been a big club as far as I'm concerned. I've got some great memories. But if we start with Melvin, because I know Melvin's always got a long list of memories because he can remember the 1800s and stuff like that when Villa won the double and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me. Sorry, let's. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. Ah, now we can hear you. Oh, okay.
Hold on. How about that?
I think the clicking must be your teeth as well, Melvin.
I'm taking them out.
Yeah.
Taking them out. Don't worry about that. Right. Yeah. Right. If you can hear me now, gentlemen, it's special for me this one because Arsenal Aston Villa was the first game I ever went to. It was in 1962. My father and my uncle took me. They were staunch supporters, and we got beat 5-4. Twice I asked my father to take me to the toilet. Twice as we got up, Villa scored. They never took me for a long time after that. They blamed me for 2 of the goals. Not the defence, it was my fault. It was for me to go to a ground like that was amazing. And this is the programme of the game. As you can see, that is the programme. Arsenal Aston Villa, my first ever game. So that was fantastic for me, that was. But I remember in 1974.
What year was that? 1800 and what?
1962.
Oh, that's right.
I remember a big match we had with Villa. It's the FA Cup, 1974. And for the first and only time, I think, I saw Bob Wilson lose his temper. He had a punch-up with a guy called Sammy Morgan. The home leg, not home leg, the first leg was at home, not leg, the first time was at home. We only drew 1-0, and lucky to draw. I think we got a late equaliser. I don't think Wilson got sent off, we got close to it. And then in the second, and in the replay, they beat us 2-0, which was not great. But you know, who played for Aston Villa that day was Bruce Reel.
Oh, yeah.
He played for us, it was quite good. Now then, we had a funny time with Villa in the 70s, because in 76 and 79, away at Villa, they beat us 5-1 twice.
Wow.
I mean, really, I don't know what happened there. And also in you must remember the one, obviously, with one of your favourite players, Richard Woodcock, scoring 5 goals in a 6-2 win.
Yeah, I remember that one.
At Villa Park. And then the one we beat them twice in 12 months at Villa Park, 4-1 on both occasions. On one of the occasions, there was 10,000 people in the ground.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was football generally and or the situation that Villa Park was in. And also, I remember that 1991 when Tim Campbell played and David Platt played for Villa then, he went in goal. The goalkeeper got injured.
Yeah, that was at Highbury, yeah.
Highbury, yeah, that was a game. Also, I've been at Villa Park a few times. My first ever time at Villa Park was to watch Arsenal play Stoke in the semi-final in 1971. I couldn't believe how beautiful that stadium was. Big red brick outside. I just went, wow, it was absolute. Because I've been to a few other grounds before that, but nothing like Villa Park. Yeah, something special about it. But I went again. I went in one of the games I went to. Very upsetting was 1998. We'd already won the league with 2 games to go. We had to play Villa away and Liverpool away. I went to the Villa one, stood behind the goal. I think it was. Would it be standing or sat behind the goal in '98? What would it be? Standing?
Would have been. Yeah, it would have been seats, but we was all standing up.
I remember behind the goal because I was behind the goal that York scored a penalty with. They beat us 1-0. But we won the league, so I wasn't too upset about that. And I mean, I'll let you get on. I mean, I've got on for 1991. I'll let you boys carry on from there. But there's some great memories of Aston Villa.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
definitely some great memories. Yeah. Do we know what this crackling is? Can everybody hear it? Or is it just me?
I've got my mic
I
muted.
can
I've got my
hear
mic
it,
muted and it was still carrying on. So I think we need to mute one at a time, see where it's coming from, because it's making me feel a little bit sick in my ears.
Yeah, I think it's you, Melvin. Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, it is Melvin. Yeah, something rubbing on the thingy.
See ya.
Okay. Bye. Sorry.
Oh, we'll be back in a minute. Yeah, maybe it is Melvin that's been causing all the crackling. He's had a few issues going on with his sound actually. So yeah, as Usain says, yeah, we're trying to sort it out. Usain, don't worry.
Oh no,
Richard's frozen as well. Whilst we're doing a bit of housekeeping, Joe, can you move? Is there any way you're getting your mic a bit closer because you're really quiet?
Yeah. I can move everything around. Wait a second.
Rich is back.
Oh, I'm back. Yeah, I must have some internet issues as well. Someone's hijacking the show by the look of it, but I'm sure we'll be right in a minute.
Yeah, got gremlins. Oh, the
Yeah,
clicking's back.
I think we have crackling again now.
Hang on. See, it's because Melvin's back.
No, I was fucking before I was back. Don't worry about that.
Shall we all mute one at a time and see if we can discover it? Doors, if you go first, mute your mic. It's still there, so it's not Doorsy one. Andrew, you've done yours, haven't you?
I'll do it.
The crackling. Oh, it's gone. Is it just me that can't hear it?
I can't hear it.
You're still on mute, Doorsy. Take yourself off.
I can't hear it now.
Ah.
I had mine. Yeah, it's still not happening. It's not me. It might be Joe for some reason. I don't know.
I'll grab my laptop and swap onto that.
All right, yeah, that might be better. Yeah, okay, yeah, maybe try that, Joe. Yeah, okay, no problem.
Yeah, there it goes.
Oh yeah, I think it was Joe actually. Oh, he's gonna swap around, so hopefully we'll be better now. I mean, there's some great memories, obviously, Melvin, from going back a little bit of time as well. What about yourself, Dorsey? What are your kind of memories of games against Aston Villa over the years? There must be a few good ones that you remember.
Yeah, there's a couple actually that spring to mind. Actually, the first was back in 2007, I think it was. Me and a group of mates, close mates, we went to Old Trafford actually and watched a Man United versus World 11 game back in 2007. It was just we all support different teams, so we don't often go to Arsenal or anything. So it was just a case of a weekend away for the boys. But actually, on the Sunday, we were playing Villa at Villa Park. We all managed to get tickets for that game. So we went to that Villa game at Villa Park. We won 1-0, and it was a really scrappy game. Abu Diaby scored the winner.
That was one that got deflected off him, wasn't it?
Yeah. Proper scrappy game that was, and a scrappy goal to finish it off. But we went to that, and actually one of the lads that came with us is a Spurs fan, and obviously at every game we all sing "Stand Up If You Hate Spurs." So we all stood up, looking at him, waiting for him to stand up, and he did in the end. So I've never let him forget that. He didn't have much choice but to stand up. So that one stands out. And the other game that really stands out was actually the last time I ever went to Highbury, which was the final season. We won 5-0 in the red carpet kit. Scored some cracking goals in that game as well. A couple of really good goals. Henry scored a lovely goal. I think Adebayor got a decent one as well. So they're the two main ones. But I don't think we've lost at Villa Park for quite some time, have we? I think it's been late.
We hadn't until last season when they beat us. That was the first time since 1998. So it's been a long time. Good record.
It's been a while. So a couple of games that really stand out for me were those two really that I went to. But like you guys have said, they're a tough side to beat at any given time, and it's that stadium, Villa Park. It's one of the few left, isn't it, that feels like a proper old school traditional English football stadium. There's not many of them left now, and you could feel the history when I went there, and it's a lovely little stadium.
Yeah, no, it still is now. Obviously, the Man United fan Herbert thinks Villa are going to beat Arsenal, so we don't really want to hear that, though, do we? I mean, Joe does probably, but we certainly don't. I mean, what about yourself, Andrew? What games against Aston Villa kind of stick out for you from the previous seasons?
Well, sadly, the two that I really wanted to pick out have already been spoken about. Thank you, Melvin, and thank you, Dorsey. But I went to that 5-0 one that you mentioned as well, the last season at Highbury. It was a brilliant game, really good.
Yeah.
You know, I can actually remember really trying to, because I didn't get to every game that season, but I went to as many as I could, and I was just trying to drink it all in because I just knew I was going to miss Highbury so badly. And the atmosphere was great on that day, and I really enjoyed that. But the other one was 1991 that Melvin mentioned when David Platt went in goal. That was quite a good game as well.
Do you remember that Paul Davis goal in that game that he scored? That goal, Paul Davis, that was brilliant, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely brilliant! I love Paul Davis. Yeah, it is a great goal. But there's been some disappointing ones along the way as well. I mean, I think what season was it? It wasn't too far ago where we lost on the opening day of the season 3-2.
Oh, a Bonneville, didn't he? He got two, didn't he? I think.
Yeah. I mean, that was incredibly disappointing and really, it smashed all your hopes and dreams after one game.
Yeah.
But of course,
got sent off, didn't he? He gave two penalties away.
Yeah. Koscielny got sent off. Yeah.
Didn't he score? Am I thinking is the right one? It didn't score an own goal in that game as well, did he, Koscielny?
He had a mare. I know he had a mare.
Yeah, he gave away two penalties.
Yeah.
The red kit in the all red. I think that Van Persie scored a screamer where he was very close to the post byline and he drew it back and put it in the far corner. What a fabulous goal.
Yeah, it was. And obviously the other one, which we won't go into too much detail about because Joe's here, but it was the cup final.
Yeah.
I think that season we had. I think that season we had the 4-0 win, a 5-0 win, and a 2-0 win as well. For some reason,
3-0 it was 3-0 away. It was.
Yeah. So it's a pretty decent. Pretty decent aggregate score that season. 2015 was it? Yeah, it was.
2015. Yeah, I watched that in the Gunners pub actually. Went up there and watched the cup final up there. Brilliant.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
I love the Gunners. Yeah, I love the Gunners. Brilliant. Shout out to Una.
I mean, what about yourself, Joe? What's your kind of memories of games against Arsenal over the years? Obviously, last two games you've done well against us, certainly, haven't you?
Yeah, the last two have been a nice bit of a turnaround, to be honest. Most of my history against Arsenal has been either depressing losses or sort of hard-fought draws, to be honest. The only real one that stands in my memory was the 2-0. I think it was 08, the Clichy goal.
It was in the white kit, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of very, very few wins against you lot for probably 10, 15 years. I think when we beat you last season, it was the first time we'd beat you away in something like 15 years or something ridiculous. So it's one of those fixtures that's always one of the ones we look towards because it's a big historic game. But in my viewing history, certainly we've never really been competitive. So this season's a bit of a nice change, really. Going into this game, I mean, admittedly, with very different viewpoints on how our seasons are going, I'd imagine. But with us being fairly evenly matched, so it should be a really good game, I'd imagine.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, funny enough, you say that you've had a poor record against Arsenal, and I suppose you could look at it like that. But actually, I think it's only Manchester United that have won more times at the Emirates than Aston Villa have in the Premier League. So your record at our ground that hasn't actually been too bad. We've won there 4 times. At the Emirates, obviously, previously at Highbury, you didn't generally do particularly well, I suppose, but certainly.
Oh, he's having a bit of a rest again.
Lost him again.
Which you've done all right.
Oh, you're frozen, Richard.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I think I must have an internet issue somewhere. But yeah, so I mean, Villa Park, we've always had a decent record actually, apart from last year. As I said, it's the first time we've lost there since 1998. So hopefully we can put that record sort of behind us and get back on sort of track again. I mean, for me, Villa Park's always been one of the best grounds in the Premier League, in the country actually. Like even before the Premier League, I know it's changed a lot over the years. The first time I went there was for the FA Cup semi-final 1983. We played Manchester United, stood on the Holt end. We were winning at half time. I'm sure Herbert might remember that. Yeah. I was standing on the Holt end. We were winning 1-0 at half time. 3 minutes, and he came back and beat us. So that wasn't much fun. And then later on that same season, we played last game of the season at Villa Park against Aston Villa. We lost again 2-1. There wasn't many Arsenal fans there that day. It's quite a depressing kind of day, if we're honest, for an away day. But there's been some great ones over the years. One that sticks out in my mind a lot was the League Cup semi-final, second leg, 1996 it was. The game finished 0-0 after extra time, and Villa had won on away goals to get to the final. I think you guys beat Leeds in the final that year. But it finished 0-0 after extra time. We got knocked out. At the full-time whistle, all the Villa fans ran onto the pitch to celebrate, I guess. And some of the Arsenal fans didn't take too kindly to that. We were right down the front. I think it was in the Trinity Road stand. And everybody ended up on the pitch. And because the tunnel was over the opposite side to where we were, none of the players could get off the pitch because of all the fans are on there. And I remember I was standing by the corner flag. We'd had a corner in the last seconds of the game. Paul Merson took the corner, and he's in the corner. I remember standing next to Paul Merson while it's all going crazy on the pitch. So I was standing there having a little chat to Paul Merson while it's all kicking off everywhere. I thought, this is a weird situation. And obviously we ended up getting knocked out, so that wasn't much fun. But there's been some great victories, obviously, we've had at Villa Park over the years. Jack Wilshere scored his first Premier League goal for Arsenal. We won 4-2, 2010. I don't know if you guys remember that one. Good game that was. Actually.
Diving header, wasn't it? Back post.
Yeah, diving header. Yeah, that was the fourth goal. I think we won 4-2. That was a decent game. And the last time we won at Villa Park, actually, in 2015, we won 2-0. Ramsey and Giroud scored a penalty. We actually went to the top of the league that day. Just goes to show how things have changed, because obviously Villa went down that season. I think we came second in the end to Leicester, but we were top of the league that day, and I don't think we've been top of the league since I can remember. So hopefully
we're always top of the league every single season at the beginning.
No, but this was halfway through the season, though. This one we've actually played games.
I know.
But yeah, we
a good game, Richard.
And Villa are second at the start of every season as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, they
I missed out on good game. I don't know if any of you were there when we beat them the 2-0 last game of the season, 1981. The Villa were champions actually, because the Ipswich was it for the title, and we beat them 2-0, and everyone was happy because we'd won. Villa supporters were happy. They'd won the league, and also Pele came on the pitch.
That's right, Pele. Yeah.
That was a fantastic atmosphere for the last game of the season. That was brilliant, really, really good. Were they the first team to Emirates, Villa? First league.
You're really glitchy again, Melbourne, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
Villa, the first team to play at the Emirates League.
Yeah, the first team to play at the Emirates.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. It was a draw, wasn't it?
That was Walcott's debut, wasn't it? He came on and set up the goal for Gilberto Silva on his debut.
Yeah.
Wasn't it a 1-1 draw?
Yeah, 1-1 draw. Yeah. It was Olaf Melberg who scored the first Premier League goal at the Emirates for Villa.
Yeah.
I remember their fans going mad behind the goal. It was good to see in a way, because you could see the away fans like going mad at the Emirates. But that was the first.
I met Olaf Melberg in Birmingham City Centre when I used to work there, and he stopped and we had a chat for probably about a good 5 minutes. He was such a good bloke. What a commanding bloke he is, honestly. He's like when you see him in real life, he looks like a proper Viking. I'm not being funny. He's absolutely huge, and his long hair. But what I used to really, really like Olaf Melberg as a player, a brilliant defender. But he was, he was. You know, when you usually get a bit disappointed when you meet people like that just off the. But he was a lovely guy, really, really lovely guy. Because I spoke to him for a while about football, and obviously I lived in Sweden for a while, so I spoke to him about that. But yeah, great guy. And also, when I went to one of my best trips to Villa Park was not to watch Arsenal. It was a Millwall away. And me and my brother-in-law went there, and it's mid to late 80s, and I can't even remember the result because we got out of the ground, got ushered out after all the home fans had already left, and we got ushered out this exit, and we were walking around the corner, and I was pretty much right at the front of all the Millwall fans because we got out really easily, and as I walked around this corner, I must have been about 14, 15 years old. There were about 200 Villa fans, all tooled up with like planks of wood with nails in them and everything, waiting for us to come around the corner. So I literally crapped myself. We legged it, so we all got separated, and we were getting chased for a good 4 or 5 minutes until, luckily I had very young legs, and I could run for a lot of the wind at that point. So we managed to escape, but. We saw it all kicking off, and a lot of the Millwall fans, when they went around that corner and saw all the Villa fans waiting, they sort of went, yes, rubbed their hands together as if it was like the highlight of their day. But I cracked myself. But it was interesting. It was certainly an experience.
Well, funny enough, Villa Park actually was the very first ever away game that I actually drove to. Before then, I used to go on a train. And Villa Park, I drove there. It was the first time I'd ever heard a little kid come up to me and say, "Oh, £1 to look after your car." And I've never heard that before. Villa Park was the first time, because it was the first away game I drove to. That must have been maybe 88, 89, something like that, around that sort of time when I first started driving. So, yeah, I'll never forget that. We parked up on some little estate. There's a motorway goes over the top, isn't it? Because the ground's quite close to the motorway, isn't it?
And junction.
Yeah, there's some housing estate quite close to the motorway. And I remember driving around the park up round there. Thought, this is a nice little place. Just park here. And suddenly about like 20 kids have come running up to us. Look after your car. I'm like, what are you going to do with it? In the end, you give them a call just to shut them up, and they go away. And you hope you come back and you still got 4 wheels on it. But luckily it was safe. It was all right. So we parked there every year for a while, actually, just because it was pretty safe. We just give them a couple of quid and they went on their way.
Yeah, you used to work. The place where I worked on Temple Street in Birmingham City Centre. Joe may well know it, but there was a posh sort of tanning place a couple of doors up from where I worked, and used to see Lee Hendry and Ron Atkinson go in there every single day. Just come, literally looking like Donald Trump, skin colour. So yeah, I used to see them there all the time. It's quite fun.
Hussein there mentioned that 0-0 draw Arteta was playing. Yeah, I was at that game. That was not the most exciting game I've ever been to. I've got to be honest. I don't think we had a shot at goal in the second half, from what I remember. But anyway, Herbert goes back to obviously the suspension of David Luiz, saying we won't mind because Gabriel slots in. Yeah, Gabriel's okay, but I still think David Luiz has been an important player for us, and I think we're going to miss him. But we'll see. Obviously, what happens tomorrow with regards to that. But yes, I mean, there's been some great games between the clubs, obviously, over the years. I remember an FA Cup game in '83 as well, quarter-final at Highbury. Vladimir Petrovic scored for Arsenal, one of the rare goals that he scored. That was a good day when we beat Villa in the quarter-finals, and the cup was decent. That was nice. And, of course, that League Cup semi-final I mentioned before, that the first leg at Highbury, Dennis Bergkamp scored twice for Arsenal. We drew 2-2. I think Dwight York scored 2 for Villa as well. We were 2-0 up. And Villa came back to 2-2, and then ended up going to the final that year, as I say, 0-0 in the semi-final, second leg, and they got through. So that was not so good. But yeah, them two great goals from Dennis Bergkamp, I remember, in that game in the first leg, which was pretty good. Right, now we're going to move on to the section that I know Melvin really likes, and there's some good names coming up in this tonight. So this is going to be good, I think. As we've got obviously Joe in, I'm guessing that Joe won't remember some of these older ones. So if we start with one that maybe Joe will probably remember a little bit more. He might remember him more than what we do. Do you know who that is?
Henry Lansbury.
Yeah, Lansbury, yeah. What did you make of him at Aston Villa?
He just never got off the ground at all. He played, I think he played 40 games in total, never really did a great deal. Scored a really nice goal. I think it was in his first 3 or 4 games, but that was it. Spent the last 6 to 18 months leeching off the bench. We tried to pay him off; he wouldn't leave. I
had high hopes for him. I really liked him.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. He scored that goal against Scotland, didn't he? Do you remember in the League Cup for us? His only goal he scored, and I always felt he had a career that never really went where it should have gone. He never really lived up to his potential, did he?
He reminded me of David Bentley in the sense that you just wanted him to kick on a little bit like David Bentley, but neither of them never really kicked off, did they? Either of them.
Did he end up leaving in January, Joe, or not?
Yeah, we finally managed to get rid of him. We paid him the rest of his contract, and he's for I want to say Nottingham.
I thought it was Nottingham Forest.
Yeah,
he played for them before, didn't he? He played for Nottingham Forest before.
Yeah, he did really well there. I think when we signed him, we were expecting quite big things because, I mean, from a technical standpoint, he always looked like someone who should be playing Premier League football. But as soon as he signed for us, we didn't see any of that at all. One of the most disappointing signings we had in the Championship, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a shame for him. It's a shame. There's something obviously not right there because I think he was a really good, technically gifted player. But there's something not quite right the way he hasn't lived up to his ability. It's a shame, really. Yeah,
no, it is. I kind of had high hopes. I saying when his only goal for Arsenal was against Tottenham, you've got to have some sort of sympathy for him when it hasn't worked out for the rest of his career, I guess. But yeah, he didn't. Maybe he didn't have the right attitude for the game. Maybe that's what you need as well, don't you? Another one who didn't. I mean, I'm including him. He didn't actually play in our first team, I don't think, but I know he did play for Villa quite a bit more.
Oh, God.
Stevie Sidwell.
Yeah.
He was on last night, wasn't he, on the television?
Yeah, he was, yeah. He's quite good on telly, and he is a pundit. It's not too bad.
Yeah, it was good. He was good. Decent.
Better than he ever was in our midfield.
Is he another one, is he? Another one of those, is he?
He never got the chance, did he? He'd played for some decent clubs, he has, hasn't he? He had a big move to Chelsea at one point as well, didn't he? I think it was under Mourinho.
Yeah, he did. That's where we signed him from. He's one of those that if you look back at his sort of clubs played for and his trophy cabinet, it's far more impressive than it should be.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Yeah. I don't think he ever played for our first team, actually. He came through our system and then he might have been on the bench a few times. And in the end, of course, he moved on and did end up at Aston. Where did he go after Villa? Can you remember, Joe? Where did you get rid of him to?
I've no idea, to be honest. He's one of those that I've just tried to forget about.
Might have been Fulham. I think it might have been Fulham.
Just erased entirely.
Fulham was it?
I think Fulham or Reading?
He played for Reading.
It was Reading. It was Reading.
Yeah, I thought it was Reading.
No, he did play for Reading. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was before or after Villa. So yeah, he's another one that never quite lived up to expectation. Certainly not. Certainly not for Arsenal. Possibly not for Villa by the sound of it either. If we go to one that I think Melvin might remember, I don't think any of us.
Mr. Chumbly Warner or something.
Yeah, no, it's not. We're not going far back as that yet. We will do later. This guy, I'm sure Melvin knows this fella.
Oh, I loved him. He was brilliant. Johnny McLeod.
Yeah.
We sold him to Villa. They sold him midweek or something with the news. Never used to get a lot of transfer news.
He looks like Neil Warnock.
Yeah, he's a bit better than him.
He put his picture back up. He really looks like Neil Warnock.
He does a little bit, actually. Yeah, he does a bit.
Yeah. But we're just watching the news, and the news very rarely told you about football transfers like they do nowadays. And it said Johnny McLeod. There was no rumours or anything. John McLeod was signed for Aston Villa. We thought he's a great winger. What are we selling him for? He was very, very good. Terrific footballer. Shame. We had a great forward line.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed to be pretty good at both clubs. He made 112 appearances for Arsenal, scored 27 goals. And then for Aston Villa, 4 years there, he made 125 appearances and scored 16 goals for Villa. So he had a decent enough career probably at both clubs. I don't suppose you remember him, do you, Joe?
No, I think that's probably about my life cycle twice. And
you want to wait till you see some of the other ones. if you don't remember him, you got no chance with some others. Anyway, there's another one that I know Melvin remembers because he appeared as well a couple of weeks ago because for another team that he played for as well.
Oh yeah, Alex Cropley. Yeah,
Alex Cropley. Yeah,
he never
I know
quite made it with us, did he? Never quite
No,
made it with us.
Broke his leg twice when he first joined, which didn't help, I suppose. He had a better career for Villa, actually, because he made 30 appearances for Arsenal in 2 years, 74 to 76, scored 5 goals. And then he was 4 years at Aston Villa, played 67 times and scored 7 goals. So he's probably better remembered at Villa, possibly, playing in that sort of side that was just before the team that went on to win the league and the European Cup. He was just kind of left before that. So he was in the team just sort of prior to that. So, he's probably a little bit more remembered. I don't suppose, Joe, you don't remember him either, do you?
No, he was a little bit before my time.
About 50% more of your life.
just a little bit, yeah. And another one that played a similar time for both clubs, actually, that we featured him the other week as well.
That's right, Jimmy Rimmer.
Jimmy Rimmer, yeah. He seemed to have a similar career to Alex Cropley, actually, because they both played for Arsenal and Man United and Aston Villa. So they seem to kind of follow each other around a little bit. But anyway.
Did he play for Man United?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Didn't he? Isn't he the ones that had the paraplegic arms? Couldn't move them.
Alex Cropley played for Manchester United.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about Jimmy Rimmer.
No, he said both played for Man United.
Alex Cropley did. I'm sure he did. Did he not?
No, I don't think he did. I don't think so. I don't recall that. But then again,
we featured him on the show, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago? I'm sure it was when we played Man United.
Alex Cropley.
Can we leave this offline? So it's not really interesting for anyone else, is it?
Well, me and Melvin were interested. Anyway,
I'm joking.
He definitely did play for Aston Villa and Arsenal, so that's fine.
Yeah, of course, I agree with that. Yeah.
And Jimmy Rimmer played for Man United as well. We definitely had Alex Cropley on the other week against somebody that we played recently. That's what made me think it was Man United, because that was kind of sticking in my head from recently. Here's one that I don't suppose Joe will remember playing probably, but he'll obviously know a lot about him.
He's a really good player.
Yeah. Well, he was in his day.
Really underrated player, to be honest. Do you know what? In the semi-final of was it 90 Italia 90? He scored the goal that would have put us through. Got disallowed incorrectly. No one ever talks about it. I've mentioned it before.
Yeah.
And no one said talks about that disallowed goal, which wasn't offside. And we would have been in the final and probably, maybe won it.
Well, see, if we'd had VAR back then, we'd have been fine, wouldn't we?
But what goal he scored in
the VAR, Richard, would we?
No, that's true. No, we wouldn't ever won anything.
Was it the quarters he scored that volley against Belgium? Dying moments of extra.
He scored a few. I mean, that World Cup's what really made David Platt's career, wasn't it? From then he ended up going to Italy, didn't he? Playing in Italy for a few years, and then ended up coming to us towards the end of his career, and he did all right for Arsenal. I mean, he scored a couple of decent, important goals, didn't he? The one against Man United, of course, in particular.
He never let us down. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was a pretty steady player, but unfortunately, we maybe didn't get the best of him because he was towards the end. But I mean, he had a great career at Aston Villa. Although, funnily enough, he played 137 games for Villa, scored 59 goals. So obviously, great goal scorer.
Unbelievable. Midfielder.
From midfield, that's fantastic.
It's incredible.
And then for Arsenal, funny enough, he played 107 games. So it wasn't a lot less, actually. He only scored 15 goals for Arsenal, but obviously he was a bit older by that point, and maybe couldn't make them runs into the box that he was famous for earlier in his career as much. But yeah, he was always a good player, good professional, wasn't he? Really solid professional player, great career. And I'd say he's probably more well known for his time at Aston Villa than Arsenal, probably, but a very good player.
You would have thought he'd been a manager. I mean, I think he tried it once.
He did, yeah. He's manager of Forest, wasn't he? He managed Forest.
Because he's a very intelligent player, wasn't he? And a very intelligent person when you heard him speak.
Very odd that he never carried on in management, actually.
Yeah.
So he was England, wasn't he?
He was at England under 21s, wasn't he?
Yeah. So he's kind of done a bit of coaching, but I agree. I thought he could have looked like he was going to become a manager, but maybe he just didn't fancy it, or maybe didn't get the chance.
A bit strange. He's never on telly as a pundit either, is he? It's a bit odd. Just disappeared.
You never really see much of him, do you, anymore? Actually, you don't really hear a lot about him, do you?
I'm surprised at that, really.
Well, yeah, I say he's one of the great England players, I think, of all time. You know, the contribution that he made, a couple of tournaments he did really well. So yeah, yeah, I don't know really why he's not. Maybe he doesn't want to be in the spotlight. Maybe he chose a quiet life. Maybe, which you know, fair enough, I suppose. Here's one who's a little bit more recent. I don't know whether Joe might remember this guy playing for Villa.
Senderos.
Yeah,
I vaguely remember him.
He didn't play much for you guys, did he?
He didn't make a big impact, to be honest. We haven't had a whole lot of luck signing players from the traditional top four, to be honest. Most of them have been pretty poor. Stidwell, Senderos, probably another one coming up in a bit who probably fit in the same category.
I mean, with Senderos, for me, I actually didn't think he was that bad. I mean, yes, he wasn't fantastic, but I thought he was all right. He did a decent job for us. We actually played 116 times for Arsenal, scored 4 goals over 6 or 7 seasons that he was there. And then he only played 9 times for Villa in the end, towards the end of his career. But he did all right for Arsenal. What did you guys make of him for Arsenal then? What did you make of him, Dorsey, Senderos?
I didn't think he was that great, to be honest. It was at that point we had a bunch of centre backs. I remember him and Johan Giroud, just play younger centre backs that we obviously took a punt on in the hope that they were going to come good. And they were never good enough in my eyes. So they're not bad players, don't get me wrong, but just not good enough for us, I don't think.
Didn't he play any? You know, when we got to the Champions League final, he played quite a lot of that run, didn't he?
He did, yeah, he did.
You know,
I remember playing at home to Real Madrid. He was absolutely outstanding. Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Was that 0-0 draw? Yeah, he was. Yeah,
we drew 0-0, didn't we? We had to not letting it go, and we did that, and he was fantastic. But I'll tell you what I think ruined him was Drogba, because for some reason he couldn't get within 20 yards of Drogba every time he played Chelsea, and that I think really done a little bit for him. Didn't do his confidence a lot of good.
No.
To be fair, he wasn't the only one, though, was he? Drogba caused us a lot of problems. Whoever was playing for us, to be fair.
We had a nightmare against him as well.
Yeah, well, everyone had a nightmare against Drogba, didn't they? Unfortunately for us. But yeah, he probably wasn't our best player. But I thought he was all right. I didn't mind him. Like you said, he wasn't the top quality, was he? He was a decent stand-in. And I say that Champions League season, I thought he was good. I thought he had some good games along the way there. Another player that obviously we're all going to think is an absolute legend at Arsenal, and he maybe joined Aston Villa towards the end of his career. Probably didn't play that much for him.
Oh, I've got about him, yes.
Bobby.
The man.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't play much, did it?
I think he was. I don't think he could literally run, could he? When he was at Villa, I think he was playing walking football.
Yeah.
it was like watching a Legends most of the time when he came on. It was pretty bad. Unfortunately,
it's a shame, really.
It was a bit of a spell for us where we were in the sort of doldrums, just willing to throw money at any aging star, just for that little bit of star power, for something a bit special. He didn't give that, unsurprisingly. I think he was about 38 at the time. Obviously an absolute legend for Arsenal, but I don't think he's remembered particularly fondly by Villa fans at all. It sort of harkens back to previous really poor management for us. So,
wasn't it Houllier that bought him? Was it Houllier that bought him?
I think it was
your manager.
Yeah, I think it was Houllier.
I don't think he had to. I think he was just a free agent, wasn't he? I think he just picked him up as a free.
Yeah, it was a free agent. I think he was on quite big money though, and it just again added more to already massively bloated, really badly balanced squad. We did a similar thing with Robbie Keane as well. Threw a load of cash his way to come and do not much.
Well, Robbie Keane had to complete the Panini book of clubs he's played for, hasn't he? So
he had a lot of favourite clubs, Keane, didn't he? A load of favourite clubs. Every club he was signed for was his favourite club. So he was a bit lucky like that.
To be fair, if Arsenal paid thousands per week, I think they'd be my favourite club too.
Yeah.
So Robert Pires, in the end, he played 287 games for Arsenal, got 87 goals. Some amazing memories, obviously, and he only ended up playing 12 games for Aston Villa at the end of his career, scored 1 goal. But of course, one of the goals he scored for Arsenal was actually at Villa Park when he chipped Peter Schmeichel. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah,
Great
what a
goal.
great goal that was. One of the many fantastic goals he scored for Arsenal. Fantastic player. Obviously won the World Cup as well, didn't he, with France, and won the Euros as well, I think, didn't he? So great player.
He made the goal in the final, didn't he, in the Euros? He made the goal for
for Trezeguet to win the final. Yeah, he set it up, and Wiltord scored the first goal in that game, didn't he, as well? And then that both come into Arsenal that summer, actually. But yeah, Pires was a fantastic player. He had a funny running style. Didn't he? Like shuffled his feet, didn't he, when he ran?
Yeah.
It was amazing, really. But what a player he was. I think he had knackered knee, though, didn't he, after that injury that he got for us, and he never. He ran differently after that, didn't he? He changed his style completely to maybe compensate for his injury. And I think by the time he went to Aston Villa, I think his knee was probably pretty much finished by that point. But a great player nonetheless, obviously, for Arsenal. Another one maybe from probably not so well. I don't know, actually, he probably had a decent career at Villa as well.
Yeah, Martin Keown. That kit is one of the best kits of all time because Denmark had it as well. Do you remember?
Yeah,
I absolutely love that kit.
Yeah, no, it was a nice kit. Yeah, it was a nice kit. It's a shame that he obviously left Arsenal under a bit of a cloud at the time, didn't he? When he went to Aston Villa in the first kind of time when George Graham first came. I mean, I think he did all right for Villa. He actually ended up playing 132 games for Aston Villa over 3 seasons. I think he was pretty much a regular in their side at that time, back in the mid-80s. And, of course, he did end up coming back to Arsenal again. In fact, he played 449 games for Arsenal in total in 2 spells. Fantastic player. I mean, it was sort of 20 years in total that he was at Arsenal, but obviously he went to Villa and Everton in the meantime as well. But, 449 games. A fantastic career he had. Won a lot of trophies, didn't he? Great player. And apparently a little bit of a psycho as well in training. He used to like a good tackle in training, didn't he? Kicking everyone, apparently. But,
he took that onto the pitch as well, didn't he?
No, he did. Yeah, he played as he trained. I think Ian Wright said that, didn't he? He played exactly how he trained. So,
well, they called him the Rash, didn't they? His nickname was the Rash because he got so close to the when he's marking players.
Yeah, no, fantastic player for us, obviously, over the years. Big part of the success that we had, of course, in the early days of Arsene Wenger as well. So another player who maybe had more success with Arsenal, but I think he had a decent career at Villa as well, actually.
Oh, brilliant. I'm just going to... He's the one I wanted to mention. He's one of the most underrated midfield Arsenal have had. However, he played more games for Villa than anyone else.
Yeah, he did, yeah. He did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was a brilliant player. He was.
He was one man of the match. We beat Liverpool 2-0 last game of the season.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah.
I spoke about him because the goal, I think he told us scored the goal, and rightly so. But he was outstanding.
Yeah, he was. He was a good player for Arsenal, actually. He played 121 times for Arsenal, scored 8 goals, and then later on he played 4 years for Aston Villa, played 141 games and scored 13 goals. He won the League Cup, I think, with Villa as well. Must have been 94 was it, maybe 94? I think he won the League Cup with Villa.
95 would have been.
Oh, was it? Yeah, well, he was captain, wasn't he then, as well?
I wouldn't know, to be honest. It was the year I was born, so.
I'm sure he was captain as well. So, he had a great career at Villa as well. And, of course, he won the league at Everton before he came to Arsenal. So he certainly won a few trophies in his time. And I'm sure he's well thought of at every club he's played for because he was like the model professional again, wasn't he? Someone who just did the hard work, never a fancy player, got on with his job. And I thought he had a really good partnership with Paul Davis in our midfield as well, didn't he, for a couple of years?
Yeah,
in the early years.
Very underrated, like Andrew says,
Yeah, he was underrated. Yeah, really, really good player. I met him once as well, actually. Nice guy. So that's something a bit extra as well. Right, let's go back in time a little bit further, shall we? If anybody remembers this guy, they can get an extra point.
Not a clue.
Is he a ghost?
No, he's not a ghost. No, he would be a ghost now.
I mean, that's a proper advert for Daz, isn't it? That one.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what. There's a story about him. He was a cricketer as well. That's why he's wearing white.
And not Compton. It's not Dennis Compton, is it?
No, it's not Dennis Compton. No. He was more. That guy is actually more famous for playing cricket than football. Actually, he was more noted. Although he did have a good football career as well, playing for Arsenal, Woolwich, Arsenal, and Aston Villa as well. Anybody know?
Not Colin Cowdrey, is it?
Who?
Colin Cowdrey, no, he's not.
No.
I still think it's a ghost. I don't think he's there, really.
He's not a ghost. Well, I'll say he's a ghost now because he played a long time ago. His name's Andy Ducat. And he was actually an England international when he played for Woolwich Arsenal. He played for Arsenal 1905 to 1912, made 175 appearances, scored 19 goals. He went to Aston Villa then in 1912. He stayed at Aston Villa till 1921. Obviously, the First World War was in between all that. So he only played 74 games for Aston Villa, scored 4 goals. But he was a well-known cricketer as well at the time, one of England's best cricketers, apparently. Yeah,
I can't believe I didn't remember him, to be honest.
No, well, he's and I say he probably is a ghost now because it was a long time ago. And here's one that I know Melvin knows really well.
Oh yeah, I used to live next door to him. He was a nice bloke. Can't remember his name. But a really nice bloke. He used to live next door to me. Yeah.
He looks like the one
older than him. Yeah.
He reminds me of someone.
I love that middle part, don't you? Oh. Like
it looks like the bloke that was in the first series of The Walking Dead, and I can't remember the character's name.
No, I don't think it's him.
No,
he played for Arsenal 1904 to 1906. Played 33 games, scored 1 goal. And he was actually at Aston Villa before that. In 1898, he played for Aston Villa till 1903. He made 64 appearances for them, scored 10 goals. So there you go. Do you know who he is, anyone?
No idea.
No,
that must have been before photographs. That's actually been sketched by pencil. That is.
It was even before Sky TV. That's how long ago it was. It was before Sky and everything. His name is Bobby Templeton. Bobby Templeton.
Yeah.
He used to live next door to Melvin. There we go.
Let's just move on to Paul Merson then.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Paul Merson now, so we can get a bit more up to date.
No, we're going to save him. We're going to save him a little bit, Paul Merson. I'm going to do him later. Here's one that we'll all know. We'll all know who he is anyway. I know Melvin knows him really well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Georgie Graham.
What can you say about Georgie Graham? He seems to be popping up all the time lately. Every team we play against, it seems to be one of the teams he's played for. And obviously, he did start his career at Aston Villa, although he only played 10 games for them, funnily enough. I thought he'd maybe played more than that for them, but he only played 10 games for Villa. And he played 308 times for Arsenal, scored 79 goals. I know Melvin really rated him as a player, didn't you?
Oh, terrific player. Great in the air, great ball control. He played the game at his own pace. One of those players that always had space around him and he got the ball as well. Very intelligent player. So we signed him as a centre forward and he finished up playing in midfield and scored a few goals from midfield as well. Terrific player, really.
Yeah, obviously.
Chelsea, I couldn't believe we bought him from Chelsea because at the time he was the young, up-and-coming guy. All of a sudden, we got one of our forwards for him. Couldn't believe it. Terrific bit of business.
Yeah, because he went from obviously he started at Aston Villa, went to Chelsea, and then obviously came to us, and then ended up going to Man United and a few other clubs, Crystal Palace and stuff like that. So he seems to have appeared quite a lot on the show lately. But you can never get enough of Gorgeous George, can you? Really have him on every week, as far as I'm concerned. I won't have a word said against him, even though he liked a brown envelope or two. But we can forgive him.
He put us where we are now. He was the foundation where we are now.
Of course he is, yeah. He's the one who started it all, yeah. The modern, I always look at it, the modern era success for Arsenal started with George Graham becoming manager in 1986. So, we've got a lot to be grateful for. Brought me some great memories as well, I'm sure, all of us as well. But probably not so much Joe, unfortunately.
Technically, you could say it all started at Bruce Rioch because he brought Dennis Bergkamp into the club.
Well, except that he didn't. But anyway,
I'm joking. That's an absolute joke. I've seen that a few times. George Graham George Graham needs a statue outside because he's just as important as Wenger, in my opinion.
Yeah,
just as important.
Well, I mean, you've got. For me, you've got the three greatest managers for Arsenal is Herbert Chapman, Arsene Wenger, and George Graham. They're the three. If you're going to have statues, you've got to have statues of those three because they're the three that made Arsenal what they are today.
I agree.
and hopefully maybe one day Mikel Arteta might be able to join them, but he's got a little bit of work to do yet to before he can think about having a statue. But yeah, there's a couple of goalkeepers as well that have played for both clubs. There's this guy here, which I'm sure Joe might remember him.
Stuart Taylor.
Is that Stuart Taylor? I was going to say.
Taylor, yeah, with a close up actually, which is unusual. He normally had a bit more hair than that, didn't he? But he did have a crew cut while he was at Villa, apparently. So there you go. He actually played 17 games for Aston Villa, believe it or not. And he played 30 games for Arsenal. There you go.
He was all right. He's a decent goalkeeper.
Yeah, he was a good number 2, wasn't he? You know, what did you make of him, Joe, at Villa?
Yeah, he sat on the bench. He did all right when he came on a very rare occasion. He was a second choice keeper. I haven't got a great deal to say about him, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, he was only a second choice or third choice keeper for us a lot of the time, but he did actually play 30 games in the end, which was quite a lot. He was at Arsenal 11 years, actually. So a bit like another guy that I suppose we're going to have to mention him at some point, aren't we?
Oh, finally onto a good one that I remember.
I'm sure you remember him quite well since he played the other night. plus a bit more. I mean, funnily enough, he was at Arsenal, as we know, for like, 10 years or so he was at Arsenal, wasn't he? He only played 38 games for Arsenal, and he's already played 20 in total for Aston Villa. So it just kind of shows that his career wasn't going very far at Arsenal, and he probably made the right choice, didn't he, for himself? But yeah, what have you been making of him then overall then, Joe? You must be happy with that signing, are you?
Yeah, for 18 million that we paid, I think an absolute bargain for us, really. But at the same time, I don't feel it was a bad deal for Arsenal. End of the day,
No.
He was a second choice keeper that you couldn't really justify having.
No.
He's clearly a very, very talented keeper. Why he didn't get more chances earlier on is anyone's question. I think with second and third choice keepers, it happens. They get bogged down and get stuck with that label and they stay there. But yeah, been very, very happy with him so far. He's done a fantastic job. We'll not mention the attempted save from Lingard the other day, but other than that, he has been top quality. Probably the best keeper we've had in the last 20 years so far.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably your problem area last season, wasn't it? A goalkeeper. And you could obviously how important it was for you to get a decent goalkeeper. Like you said, I think it's been a good deal for Arsenal getting that amount of money for a second choice goalkeeper. I say in 10 years only played 38 times. So yes, he had a decent finish to last season, but we got good value for him for that money, and he's obviously having a good start to his career at Aston Villa. I mean, I know we've maybe mentioned him a few times before. What are your thoughts about Martinez and Dorsey now? Obviously, a few months down the line.
So there's two parts of it. Obviously, I'm not going to take anything away from what he did towards the back end of last season because he was absolutely phenomenal. But there has to be a reason he's only played 38 games. You can't be that good a keeper and not get a look in 10 years. I mean, we've had some not so great keepers as well. So it's not like he's been competing against the best goalkeepers in the world. So there must be a reason behind that. But if we'd have sold him 6 months before we did for 5 million, there's not one single Arsenal fan that would have blinked twice. They wouldn't have even been bothered that we'd sold him and not got a lot of money for him. So it's a great deal for both. He's done really well. You can't keep two keepers like that happy, not after the run that he got. So it was always him that was going to go. So I'm just happy that he's found a decent club to play for, playing week in, week out, and he's playing well. So yeah, it's worked out well for everybody, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. In fact, Shane, it's amazing what Google can do for you when you can spend a week researching everybody. But yeah, no, we try our best. But yeah, I mean, what about yourself, Andy? Have you forgiven Emi Martinez yet for going?
Nothing to forgive, really, is there? He deserved to be a number one choice somewhere. We couldn't guarantee it him. So I'm just really happy for him that gone on to another good club, big club, and he's doing really, really well. I just feel happy for him, to be honest with you. And yeah, I mean, lovely guy. I mean, the scenes at the end of the FA Cup final when was really moving, to be honest with you. I'm not just being funny.
Yeah.
It was genuinely moving, and I'm just happy that he's got what he wanted, and he can have a really good, happy, successful time at Villa.
Yeah, no, I feel the same. I'm pleased that he's doing well. I just hope he doesn't do very well tomorrow, but we'll come on to that a bit later. What about yourself, Melvin? What are your thoughts on Martinez now, having a few months down the line?
I really liked him a lot. And if the club had decided to keep him instead of Leno, I wouldn't have bothered at all because I thought he was outstanding. He had something about him. I'm not saying that I'm not saying he was better out of the two, but to me, I felt closer to him than Arsenal keeper than to Leno. I don't know if that makes sense. He really epitomised what I like to see in a goalkeeper. And he commanded the box, the way he spoke to that. He had an aura about him. You know, he had a presence about him. He was. I don't think he really, what I saw in the short time he played for the first team, had a weakness. But you know, I hope that continues because I think he seems a lovely bloke, and I hope he goes on to much bigger things that Aston Villa really do.
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. Yeah, I mean, you know, he is a nice guy, and he deserves his opportunity to be a number one in the Premier League, and he's obviously took that opportunity with both hands by the sound of it, and I wish him well. One that maybe we've mentioned his name before. Technically, we shouldn't really include him because he didn't actually play for Arsenal, but obviously he's got big links to Arsenal, as we know.
Oh yeah.
Played. He was quite a good player for Aston Villa back in the day. 154 times he played for them, 34 goals from midfield. Had a decent career throughout. Then he played for Scotland at the World Cup and all that kind of stuff as well. But I don't think he'll be too fondly remembered by Arsenal as a manager, particularly by Ian Wright. I don't think.
No,
but anyway,
definitely not.
No, Nigel Woodburn.
No.
I think he played with his brother. I don't know if they both played at Villa together or Luton together. But he definitely played with I don't think it was a twin, but a brother. The two real brothers played for, might have been Villa. But I think he played for Villa. Were you in the third division? The old third division? I think he played for Villa.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So he'd well get up and up and up, and he was a very good player.
No, he was. I remember him playing for a few clubs later on as well. Towards the end of his career, he always looked a good player. I'd say for Scotland as well. So yeah, but unfortunately, he didn't exactly cover himself in glory as Arsenal's manager, did he? Really? But anyway, that's in the past. The one I want to finish with, the last one that I've got, is probably in my top three Arsenal players of all time.
Vermers.
Yeah.
Vermers.
Just what a player. What a fantastic footballer this guy was. Just brilliant. I mean, I say he's probably my top three. He could even be top two, him and Ian Wright. It's hard to separate him, actually. I just think he's a fantastic player. Yeah. Yeah. Just love the guy.
Watching him. Yeah.
Just Richard, what's your favourite goal of his?
Oh, favourite one? There's loads of them. Yeah, there was one against Crystal Palace when he chipped the goalkeeper against Crystal Palace. That was a good goal at Highbury.
He had one season. He was chipping goals every other week.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
But that's your one. What about you?
Not sure I can remember any individual goals. I was still relatively young growing up. I remember him as a player.
Come on. Don't give me all of that. Don't give me all of that.
I genuinely can't remember any. And I mean, I remember him scoring loads of really good goals, but I can't pick out one at the moment.
He's one of the only.
I just love his celebration when he put his hand down, just pointed and just ran off, and all his hair was flowing up behind him. It's just fantastic. I love the way he played. He was effervescent, wasn't he? And he was that type of player that I love, and that's why I've said, you've heard me say it 100 times. Like I love watching Pepe, with different player, obviously, but it's exciting. It gets you off your seat. Does different things that other players just don't do, and the stories that you hear from Paul Merson from when he was house sharing, or up when he was at Middlesbrough. He used to
Gascoigne,
live with Gascoigne, and they used to take a few sleeping pills and see who could stay up the longest. Drink it, see who could stay awake the longest, and then the winner gets the money that's on the table in between them. What a legend! I love him. Love him.
My favourite goal. Well, I'll never forget is the one he scored at Anfield, 91. Because it was either going to be Arsenal or Liverpool to win the league. He did a 1-2 with Alan Smith.
Great
and
goal,
he just flicked it past Bobler, and he ran to the crowd behind the goal. I mean, he gave the old one of those.
I was in the Liverpool end that day. I was in the Liverpool end that day. It was the only tickets we could get. So I didn't maybe appreciate that goal as much at the time as I would have done if I'd been behind the goal with the Arsenal fans. I was on the halfway line with a load of Liverpool fans. So, but yeah, I enjoyed that one. He scored some great goals for Arsenal. He was just literally, I say, he's one of my favourite ever Arsenal players. Just absolutely love the guy, and just brilliant. I mean, what a fantastic player. And he ended up actually doing pretty well at Villa as well. I don't suppose you remember him playing for Villa, do you, Joe? It'd be a little bit before your.
No, it was again a little bit before my time, but I can say that he's still held in very high regard by the fans who saw him play. That's for sure. To this day, when people do their sort of best Villa 11s and stuff, he's quite involved. So I think that says.
Yeah, I mean, he played 423 games for Arsenal, scored 99 goals, couldn't quite get 100. And later on in his career, he played 101 times for Aston Villa, scored 18 goals. So he did pretty well at Aston Villa as well. I know he did obviously play for Portsmouth as well, Middlesbrough. I mean, funny enough, you featured him in your quiz, didn't you, Andrew, the other week? Paul Merson, of course, a great player, one of my favourites. That's why I got all them right, because I just love the guy.
I'm going to just have to say, Richard, I'm going to have to unfortunately. So I'll bid my farewell soon.
No problem. I mean, just before you go, Andrew, just give us a score prediction for tomorrow, then.
It's going to be tough. I do think that despite losing midweek against the Wolves, I think we're still going to. Excuse me. We played brilliantly, and I don't think that the defeat is going to affect us. And I think we've been playing really, really well lately. And I think, like I said before, we seem to be getting just better with each performance at the moment. So I actually am fairly confident we're going to win. But it's like I said, Villa can't be praised enough the way that they're playing this season. And after last season, considering the fact that Villa owe us a massive thank you, because obviously we kept them up, didn't we? Allowing them the victory at the end of the season, playing crap and just throwing in the towel,
and then beating Watford straight after.
And then beating Watford, yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, but in all seriousness, so the signings they've made have been transformative, clearly. Actually, Joe, just a quick question to you, Joe. Before I give my prediction, do you think it's sustainable, or do you think that the way you're playing at the moment is, because you do, playing with a lot of energy, obviously. Do you think you're going to sustain it till the end of the season, and where do you think you're going to finish?
It's a fair question, to be honest. I mean, our style has definitely changed from last season. We're far more aggressive. We press higher. Our running metrics are up quite a lot compared to last year. I think as a team, we're a lot fitter, which is allowing us to do this. In terms of sustainability, I think the signing we've made in Sanson will make a big difference in regards to that, having a midfield rotation option. Potentially even with Nakamba being able to step in now as well, as he's been showing some pretty decent form. We've got the youngster Jacob Ramsey, who's looking like a pretty decent prospect coming through. I think providing we start using the squad a bit more, it is sustainable. The real risks are an injury to either Grealish or Watkins. One of those two out, and we're in trouble. No two ways about it. We'll stop winning games.
Do you have enough cover at the back, though? Because you seem to play the same back four every week. So if anyone's injured in the defence, have you got anybody who can come in and still do a good job? Because you've been pretty solid defensively, haven't you?
Yeah, we've got Courtney Hawes, who we signed from Wolves for about 3 million 2 years ago. He's very, very solid, to be honest. He probably lacks the technical ability that Mings brings and his ability to break the line. But as a sort of back centre back, he's very solid. Left back is a problem area, with Neil Taylor being the only alternative. Obviously, he's a previous Welsh international and at one point a very good left back, but he isn't that anymore. If Target drops out, we're in trouble. Right back wise, we've got El Mohammadi as backup. It's El Mohammadi, isn't he? He can put a ball in the box, but he does very little else, honestly.
Can I just ask one more thing as well, just quickly? Douglas Luiz. He's a player that he's probably one of the top of the list of the players I'd love Arsenal to get, but I don't want to say that to you. Obviously, nick him away, but he's having a great season, isn't he? Is his form still continuing?
It's dropped off a bit in recent weeks, in fairness. He's a very young and inexperienced defensive midfielder, and I think that shows at times. He has the potential to be, what, in my opinion at least, one of the best players Villa have had in the last 15, 20 years.
Me too.
Well capable of playing high Champions League level football at some point in his career. But at this moment in time, he still has that inexperience and lack of consistency, really. And in a few weeks, his defensive output's dropped a bit. He's being caught wrong side a bit too often and getting in the field. When he's on form, he's fantastic. When he's not quite at the level yet where he can compensate for it. But give him a
He's still young, isn't he? And you've got to expect a bit of inconsistency with young players, and obviously that's what we've got to expect as well at our club. But my prediction is, I'm going to say 2-0 to Arsenal. I don't think that we're going to have it easy by any means, but I do think that we are in different trajectories a little bit with form at the moment, the two teams. And I think we're going to continue playing well. I can't see any other reason why we wouldn't at the moment continue playing really well. Got to stick with the similar sort of starting lineup. I could see that potentially Odegaard might start tomorrow, and I think that could be one of the only changes, really.
I mean, my only concern with that is because we've got to make changes because of the suspensions. Do you really want to make another change that you don't have to? You know, you want to try and keep some consistency in the team as much as possible, I think, for this game.
I honestly think it's all pre-planned weeks in advance at the moment because of this season. You've got to have a plan for all the games coming up, because it's ridiculous the amount of games everyone's got to play, obviously, at the moment. Now, I think we're going to benefit from going out the FA Cup. That's going to be a big benefit for us. But I do still think that you've got to look after these young players, especially because you can see Smith Rowe. I mean, you know now, obviously, why I've been clamouring for Smith Rowe for all this time. He's an absolutely amazing player. You can see by 70 minutes, he's absolutely knackered every single match. And if we lose him, if we overplay him and end up losing him for 3, 4, 5, 6 games, it's going to be a nightmare. So I think you have to take it out of their hands every so often. As long as you don't chop and change too often, just drop one out and put one in the meantime. I mean, that's why we've got Martin Odegaard, and he's an absolutely incredible player. So I think with Odegaard, he is also not just an option to replace Smith Rowe, as everyone mentions. He's also an option to replace Saka every so often because he can play on the right as well, and he can play centrally just as effectively. So I think the three of them are always going to be available for those two positions, personally. So, I mean, my prediction 2-0. I think we're going to be hard game, really interesting game, good game to watch, but hopefully we'll end up sneaking it.
Well, yeah, hopefully I would be very happy with 2-0. I've got to be honest. We've got a couple of, obviously, Leno missing. I think that's a big miss because, we haven't got such a good number 2 goalkeeper anymore that we did once have. And I think David Luiz will be a miss as well. But, yeah, hopefully 2-0 would be great. Would be great. But, I suppose we'll have to see how that works out. Just give your channel a plug as well, Andrew, before you leave us.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just from Dial Square to Where YouTube channel, and I've gone Wednesday. I've got Adrian Clark on with Johnny Cochran. They're going to be doing the quiz, and also going to be discussing a few other bits and pieces. Nicholas Pepe mainly as well. So that's going to be a good show on Wednesday.
Oh.
Hey,
I thought Nicholas Pepe coming on for the quiz as well.
no, don't be stupid, Melvin.
He'd be good,
You know,
wouldn't he?
how utterly ridiculous is that? You know, utterly ridiculous comment.
We'll have to get him on. Get him on the quiz.
Seriously. No, I'll be. But no, Adrian Clark and Johnny Cochran coming on, so that'll be a good one.
Yeah, very good, yeah.
Yeah, just get me on Twitter at From Dial Square. And Joe, it's been a real good pleasure to chat with you. Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Take care. I'll check out your channel as well. Right, cheers, boys. Cheers, Dorsey. Cheers, Melvin. Cheers, Richard. Thank you, mate.
Andrew. Speak to you soon, mate.
Bye-bye.
Speak to you later. That's Andrew there. He's had to go. So From Dial Square to Where's his channel. Really good stuff. Sounds like that's going to be a good show next week as well. So make sure that you tune into that on Wednesday, I think it is. Have you got to go as well now, Joe?
Yes, I haven't got too long.
Oh,
Are you still there, Joe?
Yeah, I'm still here. Still here.
Oh, no problem. Just to say, Luca there says he subscribes to your channel, so that's nice. So cheers, Luca, for that. You just give your channel a plug then again, then, Joe, before you leave us.
We are Villa Together. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and I believe we're on Spotify as well.
Yeah, excellent. So please check that out as well. I've subscribed to the channel as well. There's some good stuff on there. I mean, thanks for coming on, Joe. It's been absolutely brilliant. Just before you go, what's your prediction for tomorrow to score then?
So I think considering the form of both teams, Arsenal having obviously the couple of suspensions, it's a really hard one to call. I think realistically this could go in any direction whatsoever. I think this could easily be a 3-0 to you, but it could just as easily go the other way as well. Just with my claret and blue glasses on, I'm going to have to go with a 2-1 to us. But as I say, that's not any real reflection of faith either way. I'd completely have no idea how this one's going to go.
No, I kind of agree with you. It's a difficult one to call this actually because, you know, we've been in reasonably good form apart from the other night where, of course, everything went wrong. And your form's been a bit hit and miss since, like we said, since the COVID. So, but on your day, I mean, you know, if Grealish is on form, if Barkley's on form, if Watkins gets opportunities to score, you're going to be dangerous. You know, you absolutely hammered us at the Emirates, which is going to be in the back of our mind as well. So it's not going to be an easy game, I'm sure. But yeah, I agree. It could go either way. We'll see. But I mean, I'm hoping you're wrong, obviously. But
and without any disrespect to any of your players, I think how Grealish performs in this game is a real deciding factor. If he has a good game, I think you'll struggle to beat us. If you can keep him quiet, I think you'll win.
Yeah, and I think obviously Arteta's going to hopefully have a plan in place. You know, I don't know if he's going to man mark him in the way that West Ham did, because that obviously worked for them, or whether we might try a different approach with him. I mean, it does worry me a little bit that he might be coming up against Hector Bellerin, who isn't the greatest defensive fullback in the league, possibly. But if Kieran Tierney plays, maybe it might be Cedric Suarez who may cope better. Or he might do that anyway. I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think it's going to be, like you said, if we can keep Grealish quiet, we're going to have a lot more chance of winning. There's no doubt about that, because he's probably one of the top players in the Premier League at the moment, isn't he? So brilliant player to watch as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But I say I hope that obviously I hope you're wrong, but we'll see how it goes. Really, thanks for coming on the channel. Fantastic having you on, and good luck obviously for the rest of the season as well. And I say we'll be checking out your channel again as well. So everyone to Villa Together podcast, please check that out as well. And yeah, so thanks for coming on, Joe. And I say enjoy the game tomorrow.
Keep well, mate. Keep well.
Hopefully not too much.
Okay. Thanks, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Here's to a good game tomorrow and a good rest of the season for both of us.
Yeah.
Easy, mate.
Cheers. Thanks a lot, Joe. Cheers, mate.
See you, Joe.
So that's Joe there from I say Villa Together podcast. Good stuff they do on there, so please check them out as well. Well, what we'll do then, I mean, we've gone through all the players now, which was good. There's something a little bit different I wanted to go through, just for saying a little bit fun, just for a couple of minutes. So I combined 11 then, Arsenal and Aston Villa. If we were going to sort of pick an 11 players from the two teams, what would we be thinking? Dorsey, what would you say? What would be your 11 if you had to pick between the two?
Got to start with the goalkeeper now, haven't I?
Yeah. Well, assume everybody's fit, so don't count suspension.
Yeah. Okay. So I think in terms of the goalkeeper, I'm going to base my decision based on the consistency, not over half a season or a kind of a handful of games. I'm going to have to go with the 2 or couple of years that we've had Leno there, and I think I would just about stick with Leno. I think the only thing I think Martinez has over him is his presence in the box, really, and he commands the box quite a bit better than Leno does. But aside from that, I mean, Leno, in terms of shot stopping, I think Leno is absolutely phenomenal. You could quite easily put together a 15-minute highlight reel of some amazing saves that he's made. So I think in goal, I would stick with Leno. Left back, I can't get rid of Tierney, and I wouldn't even if they had a better player. I absolutely love that kid. He's a proper throwback player, isn't he? Everything to be. He's got everything there to be a future Arsenal captain, future Arsenal legend, if that's what he wants to do. So I would stick with him. What are we saying? Forward or back? Are we going?
Whatever you want.
Right, We'll stick with forward or back. Centre backs. I actually do quite like Tyrone Mings. I actually think he's a very. I don't mean this disrespectfully, but he's a basic defender. First and foremost. Yeah. He's a defender, and that's all he does. He doesn't try and do anything that he's not comfortable doing. So I rate him quite highly. So I would have Tyrone Mings in there. Who would I stick alongside him? That's quite a tough one, actually, because I do like Gabriel as a left-sided centre back. If I'm doing it properly and I want a right-footed centre back and a left-footed centre back, then I think I'll stick with that. I'll go with Gabriel, and I think Tyrone Mings in the middle.
Yeah.
Right back, I don't think any of us, either team, really have got the best right back to pick from, have they? Really? I love Hector Bellerin, but there's something missing there, isn't there, at the moment? He's struggling to get back to. I mean, he has good games, don't get me wrong, but he seems to be struggling to put together a run of consistency of really, really good performances, whether that's a fitness thing or. So I think if I'm basing it on form at the moment, I think I'm going to stick with Cedric. I think he's done well over the last few games. So I think I'll stick with him. Centre midfield is pretty straightforward. I'm going to stick with Partey. Can't not have him in there. And I think with Andrew mentioning Douglas Luiz, I actually really like him. I think he's a very, very good player. So I'm going to chuck him in there. As a kind of a number 10, I've got to go with Grealish. You can't leave him out. I think he's, like you mentioned just a minute ago, Richard. I think he's without doubt, certainly this season, been one of the top 5, if not top 3 players in the league this year. I think he's been absolutely superb.
Yeah.
So I'll stick with Grealish. Up top, I would have Oba. I wouldn't pick anyone else other than Aubameyang. I know he's had a bit of dip of form recently, but I think when you look at his career and his numbers and what he's done, certainly for us over the last 3 years, I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. And then on the wings, I can't have Saka in now. I feel like I'm being a bit biased, really, but in terms of the players I'm picking, but I've got to have Saka in there. And then who else would I plump for? I think I don't really want to put Pepe in there. There's something stopping me from doing it, but I think he's been brilliant the last few games. He's looked like a different player completely. I'm going to stick with Pepe. I'll stick with him in there as well. Okay, that's 11, isn't it? I think.
That's 11. Yeah, it's not a bad side actually, is it? I mean, you've got 3 Villa players in there, which is probably about as many as I think most of us would probably squeeze in, maybe 3 or 4, I would say. I'm sure that Joe would have probably stuck a few more in, obviously, but he watches them every week, whereas we don't. But no, I mean, that'd be a decent team, that, wouldn't it, actually? I mean, like you said, the right back's probably the issue. I think that their right back's all right, isn't it? Matty Cash, he's not bad, is he?
Yeah, he looks decent, yeah.
So, but yeah. What about yourself, Melvin? What would your combined 11 be?
I would, very similar to yours, but I would have Martinez in goal. I'd have Cash at right back. I'd have Mings and Gabriel, and I'd have obviously Tierney at left back. The midfield, I think, would be superb. That Louise and Partey together, I'd love to get him for the Arsenal. He'd be an absolute marvellous player. You've got to have Grealish, let's face it. You've got to have Saka, let's face it. The centre forward, I'd have Watkins centre forward. Sorry to say, gentlemen.
Really?
Oh yeah, in front of that too, definitely. And it all depends if it's on current form or how good they can be. Because if it's on current form, it's got to be Rowe. Bit of a strange formation, I know. But if it's on how good this player can be, it should really be Martinelli, who hasn't really got going yet. That would be my start.
Yeah, no, that's probably not too far off. Yeah, I mean, mine would again probably be similar. I mean, the goalkeeping's a big one, isn't it? Leno and Martinez, I suppose, but they've both had decent seasons. I think Leno's been brilliant lately, actually. I know he had a bit of a rush of blood to the head the other night, didn't he, in the end, and got himself sent off, which means he can't play tomorrow. But I think he's had a decent season. I think I would go with Leno because I think his consistency over the last 2 or 3 seasons has been brilliant as well. Yeah, I think Gabriel and Mings will be a good partnership in the middle. Obviously, Tierney's left back. Again, maybe Matty Cash at right back, just because I don't feel that either of our 2 right backs are as good. Maybe that's one area that we need to look at a little bit. I mean, Cedric's done well, but he's only played 3 or 4 games there, hasn't he? So you can't really judge him. I mean, Matty Cash had a consistent season, so I'd probably go with him. I totally agree with the midfield. Partey and Douglas Luiz would be amazing midfield for us.
I think love to get Arsenal.
Yeah, I would. And of course, Arteta knows him because he was at Man City, wasn't he, originally? So I think the 3 maybe just behind the striker. Yeah, Saka's obviously got to be on the right. I don't think there's a better player in the Premier League at the moment playing as well as he's been. So I'll definitely have him in. Grealish has obviously got to be in. I'd maybe put him on the left because that's where he generally plays for Villa, doesn't he, on that left-hand side?
Comes in on the left, doesn't he? Comes in on the left.
He does. And then that would actually leave a space for Smith Rowe in the number 10 role then, which I think would work well. And I agree with Dorsey. I think you've got to have a Aubameyang up front. I know he's not had the greatest season, but his numbers in his career are phenomenal, and you know that when he gets his form together, he's going to score goals again, isn't he? Watkins has had a good season. Don't get me wrong; he looks a great player, but he does seem to miss a lot of chances, doesn't he? As well, he scores a few, but he misses a few as well. And I know that's maybe a striker thing, but I don't feel confident of him when he's on a one-on-one. You don't feel confident he's going to score every time. With Aubameyang, you tend to feel that even when he's not playing well, when he's in them one-on-ones, he tends to finish them off, doesn't he? Even Lacazette's not very good at them, is he? So I would maybe swing for Aubameyang just on his career and what I know he can do. But Watkins is definitely one for the future, and I think they're going to be really good. But that'd be my team. So yeah, there's some good players there, isn't there? Actually, Villa have got a decent team. Let's be fair; they've got some good players, and you can see why they've done so well this season. Their squad depth maybe isn't that great, and I think that's why they've struggled because they play the same team every week, and I think they're running out of steam a little bit. And they do rely heavily on Grealish, like Joe said. If you can keep Grealish quiet, then you Aston Villa aren't going to pose as much of a threat than if he's playing well. So they've got that problem as well. But yeah, they're a decent team. So that was quite interesting just to see who we would pick. We have to put a few Villa players in. I think some deserve it as well because I think they're good.
Sorry, Rich, I am going to have to drop off in a minute as well, actually, mate. Sorry, within the next 5 minutes or so.
No problem. We're going to come on to the last bit now anyway, which is always the way that we finish it every week anyway. So what are we thinking then, Dorsey? What's your... I do think it's a tough one to predict, actually, but what are you thinking?
It is a really tough one. And there's a lot of factors as well with the suspensions and the players that we got missing. I agree that I think Luiz has been brilliant the last few games, so I think he will be a bigger miss than maybe we think he will. Gabriel, obviously, we know how good he was at the start of the season. He seems a bit rusty, didn't he? Coming back the last couple of appearances he's had, he's looked a bit rusty. But chances are he's probably going to come back in into the starting 11. But I think Leno will be a big miss not having him there. And I think a lot, like Joe was saying and everyone else is saying, it really depends on how Grealish performs and how we can try and combat that, because I don't know about you guys, but I always feel like he seems to raise his game against us. Maybe not just us, but against the big six, if you like, or the big four. He seems to really, he's a big game player. I think those games are the ones he really, really shines in. So, but based on that, I think we've got to use what happened during the week as fuel. And I think we will. I think we'll use that as a really to come out and prove a point, because that first 45 minutes against Wolves was the best 45 minutes I've seen us play all season by quite some distance as well. So I think he's going to really want to bounce back, and I'm gonna stick with an Arsenal win, and I think we'll get a few goals. Actually, I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal. I'm going.
Hussein says 3-1 as well, which would be good. I quite like the sound of that. So I'm not sure whether I'm quite as optimistic, if I'm honest. But let's have a look. Ender says 1-1. I say Hussein says 3-1. What about yourself, Melvin? What are you thinking about the score tomorrow?
If it's not so much how well Grealish plays, it's how well Bellerin plays. Because I think if Bellerin does a job, then hopefully that's it for Grealish to snuff him out a bit. I think I'm actually going for 3-1 as well. I'm actually going for 3-1 as well, which is unusual, but for me, I'm going for it. I think we'll beat them 3-1.
I feel like we've got goals in us at the minute. I really do. I mean that first half, as much as what happened in the second half is frustrating, the other frustrating part is we had 3 really good chances in that first half. So I think if we'd have taken at least 2 of them, I mean Saka had hit the post and had a good chance as well early on. So I just feel like we look so much more dangerous going forward at the minute. We really look like a decent team going forward. So I do feel like we've got goals in us at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, again, obviously that first half against Wolves, we could, as you said, we could easily have scored 3 or 4. Saka should have scored. Maybe if it was a little bit later in the game when he's had a bit more of a few touches at the ball. It was his first touch, basically, wasn't it? And he's gone through and it wasn't a bad finish, but he maybe hit it too well, actually. If he just needed to maybe, clip it in the corner instead, and it would have probably gone in. But, we were unlucky not to score a few more goals. But I think away from home, we look a lot more like we're going to score goals because teams are maybe more coming at us a little bit more. There's a few more gaps on the break, and I think away from home, most of the season we've looked more dangerous. I think at home is where we don't look as though we're going to score goals at home at all. But away from home, I do. And obviously, this is an away game, so I do feel that it's going to be a little bit more open from our point of view. I'm a little bit worried about a goalkeeper situation. I have heard that Matt Ryan might be fit, so that'll be good news if he is, because I wouldn't feel very comfortable with Renarson playing as well as he did okay the other day when he come on. He would worry me playing a full game. But I think if Matt Ryan's fit, I've got no problem with Gabriel coming in. I do think we'll miss David Luiz's experience. I think he's had a good season for us, but it is what it is. I'm sure Gabriel will come in and do a steady job as he has done most of the season. So I've got no real problems there. Yeah, Grealish is going to be key. We need to keep Grealish quiet. And if we do that, I think we can win. I think it's going to be a very tight game, very tense. The other question is as well, who would you play on the left? Obviously, Pepe's playing well, but Aubameyang seems to be fit now. What would we go with there? Would we stick with Pepe, who's been doing so well, or does Aubameyang come straight back in, or does Aubameyang play through the middle?
I would, if you're going to play Aubameyang playing through the middle, you cannot drop Pepe. Sorry, you can't drop him.
No,
if you do, you'll destroy him.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think he's been brilliant the last few games and doesn't deserve to be dropped. If you really, really want to squeeze Oba in, it needs to be through the middle. But in saying that, in the same breath, I don't think Laka deserves to be dropped either. To be perfectly honest,
no.
I would have a tendency to leave it as it is. If I'm being honest, I wouldn't change that moving forward at the moment.
I mean, I do think it's a big call for Arteta because obviously Aubameyang's a club captain, and yes, he's not played much lately, and maybe that makes the decision a little bit easier now because he could leave him out because he's maybe feel he's not quite 100% match fit, if you like, because he played a half an hour, whatever it was, at Wolves, and we had 9 men in the end, so it wasn't much of a game for him to really play, was it? No. He couldn't come out of himself. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a big call though to leave your captain out when he's fit and available to play. I do think it's a big call, and it'd be interesting to see what he does. That's to me, that's the one position that I'm thinking about. You know, will he play him on the left? I wouldn't leave Pepe out at a minute because he is on fire. I mean, he's playing really, really well. He had a brilliant goal he scored against Wolves. He played really well against Southampton. He looked dangerous against Man United. So I would want to keep him in, but as you said, Lacazette, does he deserve to be left out? Because he's played really well. He works really hard for the team, and he's probably a better centre forward, if you like, because he can hold the ball up better, bring other players into the game. He's better when he drops deep. Aubameyang's not that sort of player, is he? He's good at running in behind. But it's a tough call, that one. That's going to be interesting to see what Arteta does with that one. That's the thing for me that I'm not sure about, whether he's going to squeeze Aubameyang into this team or whether he'll stick with the same forward four that's been playing overall pretty well lately, actually. I hope he doesn't do something stupid and leave Saka out and put Pepe on the right to accommodate Aubameyang. I hope he doesn't do that. I suppose the other option could be to play Saka at left back, maybe. If
then you're messing the whole team around, Richard. You're messing around.
Well, yeah.
Another centre half you've got. A new centre half coming in. Yeah. Then you've got your left back next to him. You can't do that. I'm sorry.
If anyone gets dropped, it'll be Lacazette. If anyone gets dropped.
You think?
Yeah, I can't see him. You can't drop you can't drop Pepe or Saka at the moment. No. You can't leave. If you're going to drop anyone, then you're going to leave Lacazette out. I think, as unfairly as that might be on him at the minute, I think that he'll be the one to make way if anybody does.
If you take Saka from the right, it halves our attack. Sorry, Saka from the right doubles up our attack because we've been playing all down the left before Saka played on the right, and now we've got two areas to worry the other team about. You cannot take him away from that right side. I don't care if we don't play with the left back. You cannot take him away from that right side up front.
No, I agree. It's given us a lot more balance up front, hasn't it? Having Saka on the left, and obviously Pepe now, he's actually putting some good performances on the left as well, hasn't he? So he's given us a lot more balance. We think about Ryan's fit, Mari as well. I don't think Mari will come in. I think it'll be Gabriel, just because Gabriel's played and Mari hasn't played for ages, and I don't think he'll just throw him straight back in. As much
Sorry,
as
Rich, I'm gonna have to drop off, Rich. Sorry, mate. I've pushed my limit already.
No, mate. Thanks for coming on anyway. Just where can people find you? Just to give yourself a shout out.
Yeah, just head over to my Twitter account, Dawsy2801. Yeah, just head over, drop me a follow, and say hello, and we'll have a chat about the Arsenal.
Yeah, no worries. All brilliant. Well, thanks for coming on again. Great to see you.
I can see you again.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Yeah, it's been I've missed being on the show, so it's thanks for having me back on, and really enjoyed it. And hopefully,
get you back on again
tomorrow. Nice
hopefully. Right. Let's hope so. Yeah, no problem, mate. Take it easy. I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, guys. Take it easy. Bye. See you, mate.
Cheers,
bye.
Mate. See you later. Bye. So Doyle's he's had to go. So just there was loads of us before. Now it's just left with the two of us, Melvin, just to wrap things up. But yeah, I think for me that's the interesting one, isn't it? Where Aubameyang's going to maybe fit in or not tomorrow, and see. Be a big call to leave him out, but it's a big call to leave out one of the others who's been playing well. So we'll see what Arteta does. That's why he gets paid so much money to be the manager, because he's got to make those decisions.
Exactly.
And we don't. We just have to talk about them and decide what we would do. But we haven't got that pressure to have to do it, have we? I must admit, I wouldn't like that choice tomorrow. But having said that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with bringing Aubameyang off the bench. I'm sure he could come on later on in the game and you know.
Richard, you could do either of them off the bench, can't you? You could play, you could play Lacazette off the bench or Ober off the bench. It don't matter. Why not?
Yeah.
Give their defenders something to think about. Have a different style of forward to mark during halfway through a game.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's good to have the options at the end of the day. We're fortunate maybe that we've got good players that are on that, or one or two good players, you're going to have to be on the bench, which is useful to come on, like you said. And maybe Villa don't have that luxury as much. They've got their first 11 and that's it, really. So, but yeah, I mean, that's, it's all good stuff. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, we've got through everything that we pretty much needed to, I think, anyway. So, obviously, thanks to you guys for watching. Thanks for everyone for taking part as well. Obviously, Joe at Villa Together podcast. So please go and check them guys out as well. Obviously, Andrew, it's From Dial Square to Where. It's a good channel, that is. He has some great stuff on there. Looks like he's got a great show next week as well. So make sure you tune in for that. And of course, Dorsey as well. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. He's not on YouTube as such. He just comes on channels and stuff like that. But he's a great guy as well. So please check him out as well. And of course, Melvin, yourself as well. Where can people find you?
If not on this channel, pre-match, from Where to Dulles, from Dull Square to Where, sorry, and also on Ryan, Mr. Arsenal 89. I'm on doing the watch along with him normally, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean Ryan's channel as well. So obviously the Mr. Arsenal podcast, a great channel as well. Do a lot of watch alongs. I'm doing a watch along tomorrow on this channel on my own. Billy No Mates. I quite like it that way though, because I'm not behind everybody else. So I quite like that. But yeah, so I'll be coming live about 12:15 tomorrow just to go over the team news and a little bit of build up, and then we'll get on to the early kickoffs. We never normally do well in the early kickoffs, do we? That's the only thing we need to remember as well. Let's hope they have a good early night and they're fresh as a daisy in the morning. Let's hope so, because we need to play well in this game tomorrow. So yeah, so I'll be doing that tomorrow, and then on Sunday I will do a full review video of the game, looking back on it, and hopefully we can talk about the football this time as opposed to the other night where I seem to spend most of the time worrying about the red card and all the other stuff that went along with it. Is he your brother, did you say?
What's that? Sorry.
Warren.
My brother. Well, Warren, yeah, he's my brother. Yeah, is he on?
He's in the chat, yeah.
Oh dear. I didn't know that. I just saw that. That's my brother.
To be honest,
my brother.
Wasn't he on before a couple of weeks ago?
He was as well. Warren, good evening. Good evening. How you doing? All right.
Melvin's brother's in the chat, which is good. I mean, I kind of agree with him. I've always thought Xhaka should be captain anyway, because I think he's one of the natural leaders on the pitch. But I know there's issues behind that from before that maybe need to be resolved, perhaps before he can do that. But I certainly wouldn't have any issues myself with Xhaka being captain, because I think he's our natural leader, really. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good game tomorrow. I think a tough game. But let's hope, I say, we get the early start and we wake up and we're ready for this game and put in a good performance, and then I think we'll get there. So the little bit of Mark's brothers going on in the chat, which is always
Mark's brothers, yeah,
which is nice to see. Nice to see on a Friday evening, of course, indeed, a bit of comedy going on, which is great. So, but yeah, so thanks everyone in the chat. Obviously, Warren and Andrew as well, who just popped in the chat after he, of course, went. Replacing with Douglas Luiz. Well, yeah, we'd quite like Douglas Luiz as it goes. And Andrew there's put in, is Warren a better looking brother? I'm sure he can't be. That'd be impossible, wouldn't it?
No, that's right. No, not at all. I mean, that
would be yeah. Anyway, but yeah. But no, I mean, yeah. So great to have Warren in the chat as well, and obviously Ender was in the chat earlier as well. Shane and Hussein, a lot of people in tonight. Actually, it's been the chat's been pretty good. I couldn't keep up with a lot of it. Russ was in as well earlier, as always. Great to see you guys in, and Kevin as well, Ben as well. Actually, you put a comment in. I forgot to ask him about. I didn't get a chance to put it up when Joe was in, asking about Gareth Barry. But go to the Villa Together podcast and maybe find him on Twitter and ask him, or I might send it on to him as well. And Kevin as well, who was in before. Yeah, Bruce Rioch does count. We did include him in the end, although technically it was a bit of a dodgy one because he didn't actually play, did he, for Arsenal? Although he was the manager. And Warren says that he is. Yeah, he said he is the
not
better.
Biased at all. Not biased. I know no.
So there's a little bit of sibling rivalry going on as well here, which is good. It's a bit like the Gallaghers, isn't it? That's what's happening here. It's just exactly like the Gallaghers, isn't it? It's all kicking off with the Marx brothers, which is good. So, but yeah, so anyway, so thanks to everyone for watching. Obviously, thanks to you guys for coming on the show. Everyone that was on, I say everyone's gone as well. I say, and thanks for supporting the channel. I say I will be doing a watch along tomorrow. I say quarter to 12. I'll be quarter past 12. Sorry, I'll be going live on that one and going through the game, and then I say doing me match preview on Sunday as well. And then of course we've got another game against Leeds, haven't we, coming up soon, which is another big game. Another difficult game as well. So they're coming thick and fast at the moment. So we'll have to try and get something. So I might get our old Leeds fan back on again if he's up to it. I know he's had a few health problems. It was on before. Might get him back on ahead of that game if he's up to it, and see if we can. Because he was a good guest, wasn't he, before Melvin?
Terrific. Yeah, terrific.
Yeah, so I'll try and get him back on if he's up to it. I know he's not been well lately, so we'll see about that. But anyway, so. Yeah, that'd be good. So we'll try and get that sorted out as well for during the week. But yeah, so thanks for watching. Thanks for your support of the channel. Thanks to everybody for your comments. Who say see you in the morning. Yep, see you later, mate. Thanks for tuning in again. Hopefully you can watch along tomorrow. And I say in the meantime, of course, another big game for Arsenal. Important game. We need the 3 points, don't we, to bounce back from that disappointment on Tuesday. So massive game again for Arsenal against Aston Villa. So this has been the Arsenal Aston Villa warm-up show. Tomorrow's the game, and in the meantime, of course, as always, come on, you Gunners! Come on, Arsenal! Come on.